We are only a few days into Donald Trump's second administration, and boy, do those days feel like weeks. And it's already a disaster. It's a complete dumpster fire. And you know that's the case because Republicans have moved away from trying to avoid being asked questions about Donald Trump's executive orders or his latest action. They've moved away from just knowing that it's indefensible to outright objecting to Donald Trump's decisions in a very public incident in which one high-ranking Republican came out against Donald Trump, and he is absolutely furious about it, and we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into that high-ranking Republican siding with Democrats coming out against Donald Trump, I first want to hear a little bit from Governor Tim Walz, who addressed Donald Trump's federal fund freezes on Rachel Maddow's show in a clip I want to see right here.
Exclusively for his first interview since the presidential election is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Governor Walz, it's really nice to see you. Thank you for making time to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be back with you, Rachel. Great first segment, terrifying but accurate. You know what they're after, and it's not that we should be surprised by this. They laid it out in Project 2025, so here we are.
Well, actually, let me ask you about that on this point. A lot of people have been today and the last few days crediting your campaign and crediting all the reporting during the campaign that identified Project 2025 as essentially what looked like a blueprint for the incoming Trump administration to dismantle the American government. They denied it. They said they had nothing to do with it, said they'd never heard of it. Does it seem to you like that's actually what they're doing?
Oh, it is. It doesn't seem it is. We took it seriously, and I can tell your viewers tonight, governors and attorney generals took this seriously, and there was a lot of planning. There's a lot of good folks, smart folks, organizations. You talked about some of them that were out there preparing for this. But there's only so much planning you can do because of the impact it makes. And just today I was at a Head Start program. What we have to do is we have to personalize this down to this matters to each person, because Republicans always want to talk about cutting government. That's in theoretically. They never want to be specific because we know that these programs are incredibly popular. But I can tell folks we were preparing for it. They wrote it out. If you go back and look at that now, you'll see this go step by step. And I would say, Rachel, that it was cruel. They planned it. Yes, it was somewhat buffoonish, but I'm not quite certain that we're reading that right. I think this is a case of that this is a trial balloon to see how much tolerance we had and what we pull back. I make this analogy. It's like you caught someone and they stole everything out of your house. You caught them and you told them to put it back. And when you start looking, some of it's still gone. What they're going to see is, oh, they didn't raise a stink about meteorologists or our folks who are monitoring PFAS in our water, so let's just go on with that. Or people that we don't think have a voice that we want to marginalize and demonize. So they were going to get this, and I heard Chris on his program talking with Jamie Raskin, who is the smartest person you'll find in Congress. They're never going to bring this the legal way because no Republican will vote for this. And the deafening silence of Republican governors, these are my colleagues, some of them are my friends, but shame on you. You know what this is doing. And look, I come from a wealthy state that has the lowest childhood poverty rates, and we have a strong safety net. I guarantee you these Republican states would pay the price far more than us, and they're just silent on it. So we're going to need some courage. This is a long fight. This is ideologically everything you laid out. They want to destroy the federal government, this buyout of employees, because now they threaten them. It's here. The game is here. We knew it was coming. I don't know what people thought, that we were just speaking, that this wasn't going to happen. Donald Trump said, oh, I never heard of him. And now you got this guy Vote that's at the heart of it. So look, it's on. I'm glad you said that. Governors are out there. The resistance is strong. You felt it. Americans, lo and behold, like democracy and feeding their children. So they're going to fight for these things.
It is really difficult to watch that interview with Governor Walz shooting straight, calling balls and strikes, calling out Donald Trump, someone who presented so much empathy and attention to detail of how to make our country better on the campaign trail, someone who was driven out of this sense of duty to public service to us. And then to think about how Donald Trump is president, how the big moment for Tim Walz before he was nominated to be Kamala Harris's running mate was passing a bill to guarantee free hot lunch and free hot breakfast for kids in school all throughout Minnesota. And Donald Trump has made it so that Meals on Wheels doesn't know if they can feed seniors, if they can feed families, if they can feed kids. That's the difference in the type of people that we're dealing with. And it's heartbreaking which decision our country made and which direction it decided to go in. It's difficult to deal with every day, but it's a little bit easier when we're all fighting back. And slowly, it seems like some Republicans are coming on board. One specifically, technically the most high-ranking Republican in Congress, coming out against Donald Trump. And we're going to check that out right here. GOP Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley joins Democrat in letter protesting firing of inspector generals. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley joined Ranking Member Dick Durbin in sending a letter to President Donald Trump demanding an explanation for his firing of most federal inspector generals. The Trump administration summarily terminated the employment of the watchdogs across various executive agencies on Friday night, raising legal questions over whether he had complied with a law requiring that Congress be given 30 days notice before IGs are fired. On Tuesday, Grassley and Durbin articulated their objection to Trump's actions in a stern letter demanding immediate remedial action. We write to you today concerning the reported firing of inspector generals from 18 offices. Congress was not provided the legally required 30-day notice and case-specific reasons for removals as required by law. Accordingly, we request that you provide that information immediately. They began adding, while IGs aren't immune from committing acts requiring their removal, and they can be removed by the president, the law must be followed. The communications to Congress must contain more than just broad and vague statements. Rather, it must include sufficient facts and details to assure Congress and the public that the termination is due to real concerns about the Inspector General's ability to carry out their mission. This is a matter of public and congressional accountability and ensuring the public's confidence in the Inspector General community, a sentiment shared more broadly by other members of Congress. IGs are critical to rooting out waste, fraud, abuse, and misconduct within the executive branch bureaucracy, which you have publicly made clear you are also intent on doing. Accordingly, we request that you provide Congress with a written communication that contains the substantive rationale, including detailed and case-specified reasons for each of the EAG's removal. Further, we request the name of each official that will serve in an acting capacity and that you work quickly to nominate qualified and nonpartisan individuals to serve in these open positions. Now, of course, it is good that Chuck Grassley is standing up to Donald Trump here. I would like a little bit more out of that notice, a little more strongly worded letter, not just a letter, but he is standing up and stating what is obvious. And when even Lindsey Graham already said that Donald Trump has broken the law, that Donald Trump continues to break the law. The guy who hugs the Constitution, claims to love it and sleep in bed with it or whatever weird thing Donald Trump says, yeah, he doesn't actually believe that. Oh, wow. What a shocker. What a shocker. And he continues to prove that, like I said at the top of this video, with his freezing of federal funds. Blatantly unconstitutional, snatching away the power of the person. Tim Walz went into more depth in calling that out in this clip right here.
But here's what there's a court order. Who believes Donald Trump's going to care what the courts say? Who believes he's not going to do this? We're still finding glitches in our things. We're trying to access these systems again. They're not functioning correctly. And the ludicrousness, the insult to the American public to tell us that for the first time, it was just a coincidence that the Medicaid reimbursement site glitched at the same time they froze all these programs. We have to put an end to that. We have to just say, no, it's not enough. And I got to tell you, I'm sending it out to those Republican governors. We sat side by side. Governors don't. We have to deliver. We have to make sure that the water runs, that things are happening, and they're getting hammered just as much as we are.
What do you think? America's listening to you right now, thinking about what might have been had you been vice president instead of J.D. Vance, what might have been had Kamala Harris been the president right now instead of Donald Trump. People hearing you talking about the pushback and the fight and that mattering. What does that mean in practical terms? The average person watching you right now who agrees that this needs a big pushback, what should they do?
Yeah, and you know that overused term, the frog in the boiling water, we've been in the damn pot way too long. I think it is speaking up. It's thinking about your neighbors. It's writing and putting those members of Congress. Look, there is no spine amongst those folks. But this is real. This is, they're talking about defunding the police, things that they, puff their chests up and say they're good with, making the case. And I would let, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications, and they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. We spent 3 days, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction from what I think you said it. This is game on stuff right here. And I am worried with these federal employees because, look, they're in a tough spot. That some of these folks, especially those that are doing good work around environmental concerns, around justice for people, around criminal justice reform, all of the things that make our society better, those folks are in there, and they're making, they put out tweets from the president's fail son who threatens people, like, we're coming for you, you think this is bad or whatever. So I would tell people, stay focused, don't take the bait on the distractions. Surround yourself with people who understand this and recognize the things they went after today are basically a big chunk of what society does, and people like to have clean water and hospitals and safety and roads and airports, all the things they're going after, and you summed it up. There's societies that function like this, where the rich and the oligarchs do everything, and there's some fabulously wealthy people who are are above the law, and the rest of us are here. And I think we have to find that voice. We have to push back. We have to be organized. We do have to use the courts, but I just want to caution everyone. I don't know what tends us to believe that Donald Trump cares what the courts say. I think there needs to be more to that. And I think it is taking it to the individual people. Show what each of these programs does and what it means to people's lives.
Yeah, no matter what people motivated anybody's vote, if you didn't think you were voting to cut firefighting, if you didn't think you were voting to cut meat inspections, if you didn't think you were voting to cut air traffic control, well, it's all becoming very, very clear right now. Sir, please come back anytime. It's nice to see you, and it's an honor to have you here with us tonight. Thank you.
Once again, really just difficult to watch Tim Walz, an incredible public servant, fighting for his constituents right now, and have Donald Trump as your president and J.D. Vance as your vice president. It's difficult, but we will still have Tim Walz's voice in the fight, and we are going to be talking about that fight that he is bringing every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.